Hello, this is Matt.
Kosei.
Mark.
Guillaume.
James.
Mel.
Zach. This is David.
Terry here.
This is PSG Talking.
Le seul podcast sur le PSG en anglais.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to PSG Talking. I'm Tyrone, and today we'll be talking about PSG's recent home tie against Benfica, the newest drama between the Mbappé clan and PSG, this weekend's Le Classique, and could Xabi Simons be headed back to Paris this summer? And joining me, as always, my brothers, John Olangi, James Carter. What's up, fellas? It's been a minute. John, what's up? How you been, man?
Amazing. Good to be back, man. Been traveling the world, seeing some stuff, getting some experiences in. But yeah, I'm glad to be back with the guys talking about this shit show that I walked back into that is PSG. But nah, man, it's everything is well.
Love to hear it, man. Yeah, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We know we've been away for a minute, and we think that we're getting ready to pod again as things are going good. We're like, yo, things are calm, things are good, and then it's just the PSG, the gift that keeps on giving all the time. So yeah, we're definitely gonna get into it. James, talk to us, man. How's life on the West Coast?
They needed us to be back now. Of course, this would happen as we return. Don't worry, we're here. I'm ready to pod. Let's go. I'm feeling good. West Coast is good. Glad to see you both. And yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome, man. I'm glad everything's well. So yeah, starting with some actual footy talk, man. So, PSG just completed the return leg against Benfica at the Park. Kylian Mbappé becomes PSG's all-time leading goal scorer in the Champions League as he nets his 31st goal in the competition as they draw 1-1, against Benfica, where they both now each sit on 8 points going into the final two match days. And the top spot is still up for grabs, man. So, John, I'll start with you. Just what was your takeaway as PSG, hosted Benfica and, the last two games against them being draws?
Yeah, I think it was very telling of Benfica for real. For me, like it was just okay. This team this is from Portugal, and they're always in the Champions League. Usually, they don't really make it out of the group stage that much, but they're playing really well this year. Like they're really a solid defensive team. And I said this to y'all in the chat, and we kind of disagreed, and I felt like PSG has taken a little step back, or there's been a halt in the progression of us, starting this new era under Galtier, and it was the same thing in this match where we have our moments where there's chances being created, but there's just something lacking, and it's not just that Messi's missing, but defensively we're not solid. Obviously missing Kipembe a lot, but I feel like the match was in good hands. Benfica's a solid team. We had to go. We were, we could have saw it out, but we'll get into this, I guess, in a little bit. Verratti just an unnecessary, like very much unnecessary foul. And he plays like this all the time. He's very dirty, not dirty, but like he likes to get down and dirty and be rough and rugged in that way. But it was just unnecessary. Like at that moment in that time, the player didn't really have an outlet, and so that's what cost us getting all 3 points. But I think, again, for me, like in the grand scheme of things, I think the last 3 games, the Benfica match against Stade Reims during the week in Ligue 1, and then this match, 3 draws in a row. Like, no, it's a coincidence that Messi has been missing for those matches. But for me, I don't think it's that alone. I think the noise in the locker room has something to do with it. I think there's that pressure that just hovers around PSG is there right on time. Around this time is usually when it arrives, where players start getting antsy, the injuries start picking up, and so it's pretty much par for the course. But we could have wrapped up the group if we took care of business, and that's the only disappointment for me outside of my obvious observation in that the team hasn't really been clicking on all cylinders. But we still have a chance to to go. We have two more matches in the group, so we can still lock it up next week. But there's a lot going on at PSG, off the pitch, on the pitch, and I think this match reflected that for me.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to get to James. I think, I think after the first match, I was the one that disagreed with you. And I was like, I don't know about step back. But, after seeing the game at the weekend and then the return leg, I have to agree. I think PSG shows us glimpses, right? Like the first goal against Benfica of what could be. And I think right now we're seeing our depth be tested with the amount of injuries and, now suspensions that we're dealing with and stuff. I think, we're lucky, no disrespect to Maccabi Haifa, but, that's the game that Verratti's going to miss. And we are dealing with injuries, Mendes, Messi with a calf, Mbappe, with a potential, it's not serious, but, a little ankle niggle, I guess you'll call it. But our depth is being tested, right? I think now playing three at the back, center back depth is being tested heavily, major strain. But I think, I think that's where I'm seeing more of the step back, and it could be due to injury, is at the back line. But, PSG teases us. They give us these moments where, Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar, play this, one-touch football and this interchangeable kind of beautiful finesse play style. And then we go games where, we don't see that. I do think that the reason I said at the time that it wasn't a step back for PSG, maybe a step back in terms of lacking that clinical edge, but I feel like we had opportunities in that first leg, right, to put the game away. Neymar with the bicycle kick hit the bar. I think there was a couple other chances I can't remember off the top of my head where either Messi or Neymar had a shot. I think there was that one opportunity where Neymar and Mbappe put Messi clear through and his final touch just left him, which is like super rare. He would have been one-on-one with the goalie. You would have fancied your chances for him to put that away and for us to go up. And I think there were some other, instances within the game that if I go back and look at it, I could pick out where I just felt like, okay, like I felt confident going back to Paris that we would be able to put those chances away. At the time, I didn't know that Messi wouldn't be playing, but then coming back home, even with the injuries, right, you would expect our team, the caliber of players we have going to that game with Mbappe and Neymar starting with the home fans, you would be able to put that away. And we didn't, right? So I think now I can say this is a group I feel like PSG should have put away. I don't think it's the end of the world, right? I do think that in the past I would have been like, oh, like it's doom and gloom, but I do feel like it's a long season. The World Cup's coming up. There's going to be a long break. I think PSG will address some issues in the transfer window, and who knows what this team will look like, for better or for worse, right? After the World Cup and after a long hiatus away from the team. Hopefully things are addressed. But, again, at the same time, I think the games are coming quick and fast right now, right? We're playing a lot of matches. Galtier is trying to rotate, he's trying to do things, but I do agree with what you said, in the chat that, yeah, maybe there is a step back, right? Maybe I think PSG is going through their first rough patch with Galtier where we're not playing this high flying attack or, we're not getting the results that we were getting in the beginning of the season. But with that being said, we're tied for first place in the group. We're still top of the league. Things need to get worked out, but, I love to live by mentality of like live to fight another day. Right, like it's not, the house isn't burning down yet. Off the pitch, we'll get there. It may be, but on the pitch, things are decent. James, what about you, man? What did you see from the Benfica match and then just the last string of matches in totality?
Yeah, I think the more that I sit back and think about what John said in terms of a step back, I almost see it more as like level setting, right? Because you can get to this point where you're racking up a string of wins and you're assuming that things are, moving in the right direction until you come across a team like Benfica. Not saying that they're world beaters, but they're a formidable challenge, right? They were undefeated as well. And so you run into a team like that and it really gives you the opportunity to see where your level is. And I think that's exactly what PSG saw. The first leg of the Benfica match, I thought, Benfica, they played at home. They were very intense. Very intentional. The press was very high and strong, and they showed us the test, and that was great. And I thought that game would travel, and it didn't. I think in the second leg, or the return leg. Benfica started to pick it up in the second half, just a little bit. I actually surprisingly got nervous once Draxler came on and had a few shots on target. I thought, of course this would happen to PSG, but fortunately he is who we thought he was. Um, One of the bright spots, I think, Vitinha, he still seems to impress me and kind of plays well beyond his years. There was a lob that Mbappe sent to him, but he just couldn't get in. I think I said in the chat, Vitinha next year goes and gets that. And so that is definitely a bright spot that I'm seeing amongst all of the other mess. I think Neymar is in a different zone right now. This is what we've been waiting for. I just pray that he keeps this form post World Cup. We'll see. I mean, if he puts his hand on the trophy, we got a different Neymar here, but we'll see. Health permitting, and as Ty said, we don't know what we're going to get post World Cup. But I think overall it was good to see where we were. I think if all of the other political noise wasn't around the team, we would be able to address this a bit more fairly. But I do think that Benfica provided the proper test for us to level set and say, hey, we're not there yet, right? There's a lot of season left, both in Champions League and in Liga, for us to play and get better. And so we'll see what happens. And I'm sure, we'll talk about the match with Marseille coming up. But just a string of draws is kind of leading us to a situation where we're like, okay, let's assess where we're at. Let's assess what's going on. And we will have to make those rotations. Fortunately, we do have the depth. I mean, John, you said earlier, like, we're running out of center backs. Like, that's a good problem to have, because like a few seasons ago, like, we didn't have any, right? So we'll get there. But I think for everybody, let's not get too high, let's not get too low. Let's stay pretty even keel and see what's going on. I think the Le Classique will provide us another test to see where we're at league-wise. And the upcoming Champions League match will also give us an opportunity, without Verratti, to at least get that win. All things considered, I hope we win. Anything can happen, but ideally we should win that game and kind of get back into a rhythm and a spirit of getting on the right path.
Yeah, and I think missing Verratti is always the biggest thing for us, right? I feel like our team just plays so different when he's not there. And Maccabi Haifa isn't also a gimme, right? I think we played them at their crib. It wasn't a gimme or an easy game. And listen, I know Juventus isn't what they used to be. I know that they're missing players, but it's still Juventus we're talking about, right? They still have they still have some decent players that suit up. And they went to Maccabi's crib, and listen, they got smoked 2-0. No, I watched the game. They got cooked. They got cooked.
They got cooked.
I don't know the guy's name. He was playing against us too. There's that one dude who plays on the left. He's like a midfielder or a winger. He's got the dreads with the top knot. He's a baller, and he caused them problems. So, if our midfield isn't, where it needs to be, and these guys don't come to play, we could potentially see a draw, right? So this is a game that we need to come out. We need to just show what we had. We need to put this group to bed potentially, and it may come down to the final match day really to see who has that top spot. I guess, John, starting with you, because Verratti is not going to play, what do you think Galtier does in terms of the Vitinha partnership? Do you think he goes with Ruiz? Do you think he goes with Sanchez if he's healthy, or do you think he plays Soler? Where do you think what would you like to see, in the midfield, or what do you think Galtier does? And if they differ, you can give me both.
Yeah, I think I would like to see Ruiz get more game time. I think out of him and Soler, and even Sanchez, from when the first couple of matches he was playing in, I think Fabian Ruiz has been the one that's standing out of the three replacements for Verratti for this match. I believe he's taken some shots on target that if things went a different way, he could have hit him. So he's very progressive in that way, but he's also defensive minded, and he's a fucking unit. Pardon my French. He's a unit. This dude is huge. He's the type of midfielder that we've been looking for in terms of size and we've always had Verratti, Gay, these short, midfielders who are scrappy, but they don't win you any aerial duels. They don't, there's certain parts of their game where you like that, and I think Fabian Ruiz, he's been out of the three, out of him, Soler, and Sanchez, he's been playing the best and showing more positive glimpses. So we'll see what happens there, but I think I believe we've made the transition to where it's not doom and gloom that Marco Verratti is injured, at least at this point in the season, at least in this group that we're in, that it's not going to be the end of the world, that the fact that we're missing Verratti for whatever game, in Champions League or in Ligue 1. And this is something that we spoke about last year, where it's like when Verratti gets injured, it's over. When Neymar gets injured, it's over. And, we can't have that mentality. And as the directors and the boards and the sporting people within PSG, that's part of the recruitment. It's bringing on Sanchez and Fabian Ruiz and Soler, and having replacements who are not scrubs. These guys are legit. Like Vitinha, is literally keeping Fabian Ruiz from starting. Like, he didn't come here to be on the bench, but Vitinha's balling. So. And Danilo would have been an option, but he has to do center back duties, and he's doing this thing. So we got to give him a shout out as well, because in my opinion, he's been one of the more consistent players since the beginning of the season, from when he was called on to come in as a substitute in the midfield and then come in for Kimpembe, who's been out. Danilo's been solid. He was unlucky with the own goal. He was unlucky with the own goal, but I think outside of that, he's been really solid. He's, for me, it shows like some of these dudes, man, like they're professionals for a reason. He don't look the part. Dude run like, does it look like he's it's tough for him when he got to run down some of the quicker players, but he's been solid in my opinion. And Ramos got the red card the other day, but before the red card, he was getting cooked. So like we can give out that criticism to a little bit of everybody. But to listen to your question, I think Ruiz is who I want to see, come in and get some more game time. Even when Verratti is back, I think Galtier needs to start rotating a little bit, because he's going to have to. Like we said, with the World Cup coming up, he's going to have to. So he might as well start doing it now.
Well, Verratti not going to the World Cup, so he could play.
That's a good point.
Now there's Donnarumma.
Yeah,
that's tough. That's tough.
James, where do you stand? Speaking of Donnarumma, since you mentioned him, I think with the way and the players that we have, do you guys feel that Neymar and Messi and them have to constantly drop so deep to get the ball? Like, do you feel that Donnarumma's lack of ability to play with his feet and actually 9 times out of 10 just hoof the ball to the halfway line is a detriment to our play style? Do you feel like we missed that game? I feel like Navas was more adept with his feet and was able to play line breaking passes or find individuals on the wing, and that's just not a part of Donnarumma's game. And I wonder if it's hurting us right now, or it's something can he grow into that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he can grow into that. That's how they play in Italy. That's the style. He just learns how to do that. So playing with the ball at his feet, I mean, he's going to spend the next 7 seasons trying to learn how to do that, because they just don't their goalkeepers, the Italian goalkeepers, just don't play that way. So that's just something he's going to have to learn, or he's going to have to. I don't know. We don't even have anybody that's good enough. I mean, Navas is an all-time great. He's just older, But he does all of the things technically that we would need a goalkeeper to do. He's just older, right? And that's just a very cruel thing about life and time. I think us dropping so deep, that's one of the issues. I'm sure we'll get to the Mbappé stuff, but that's one of the issues that our forwards are seeing, is that they have to go so deep and retrieve the ball and then do, the build-up play. And not only is it exhausting, but when you have a team like a Benfica that just clogged that midfield, it's very difficult for you to kind of maneuver through. And I think that speaks to the sheer brilliance of Neymar, how he is able to kind of skip through, as well as Messi, that's how he's able to kind of skip through and almost dance through defenders, especially the likes of a Benfica. Um, but those lanes are not always going to be there. And so, like, what happens when Messi is out? Like, Neymar has to work harder. He has to go deeper and retrieve the ball. I think we're doing it less this season because Vitinha is pretty good. And so that link up play is there in the midfield a little bit more than it's been in the past. So that's been a real bright spot, especially when you factor in Ferrari, who kind of has to play that box to box role, and that's usually how he racks up all of those yellow cards, just from like having to sprint and slide tackle and knock himself into someone. But I think we're seeing a lot less of it this season. I did notice it during the Benfica game, primarily because Messi wasn't there. So it's a combination of things. I don't necessarily like blame that on Donnarumma. Like, he does have two left feet, and that is going to be something or somewhat of a detriment to us. I mean, honestly, everything that we're kind of talking about here are like small little nits of things that PSG has to do right. Right. So it's like not the worst thing in the world, but like Donnarumma, you cost us 2 goals in the Champions League last year to Real Madrid. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's not the end of the world, but like when it happens, and it's happening in dire situations that we cannot afford for it to happen in. I don't know how Donnarumma fixes that. Again, it's just something ingrained in like Italian goalkeepers for some reason, but he's gonna have to like adjust his game. And we can't rely on our midfield or our forwards to go and have to retrieve the ball every time. Like, you're gonna have to make the smart pass, Donnarumma. So that's my little rant there. I mean, I don't know. Like, Donnarumma's so good though. That's the thing.
He
He
is.
is
He's
really
like,
good.
no, he is.
Really freaking good.
He's like, listen, he's an imposing figure, right? Like in between the sticks. He's a big goalkeeper. He's one of the best at, stopping penalties.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know he didn't stop on this past game, but listen, it's stopping penalties is a game of chance, right? It's like there's like an element of luck to it. Just jump the right way. John, maybe you have insight into Donnarumma. You're the only one of us currently that still plays football. So like, my thing is, listen, if teams are going to continue, especially when you play the better teams, the Man Cities, the Bayerns, like teams are going to look at the tape, and it's also in their DNA. They're going to press, right? And an effective press causes problems. If you can't play out of the press, right, and you're just hoofing the ball to the midway line and then just constantly basically giving a 50-50 chance for the other team to get the ball right back, you're just constantly under pressure, right? So do you feel like Donnarumma's inability to play with his feet is something that is going to continuously bite us in the ass? I mean, like, listen, we saw with Real Madrid last season, right, where he couldn't, when he's under pressure, it's like he gets brain fog and he just can't make the right decision. We saw it against Benfica. Where was that one time where Marquinhos yelled at him because he said something, and Marquinhos was like, no, that was your fault. Like, you put yourself in that situation. And he basically held the ball and then just kicked it out and gave a corner away because he didn't know what to do and he panicked. And we've seen that multiple times. It doesn't only happen in the league; it happens in the Champions League as well. So, what's your take on that? Do you think it is an issue, or do you think that's something that we can overcome, or eventually it's going to happen again, and he's going to give up a goal, or it's going to cost us?
I think we gotta observe that a little more before I feel like it's something that's detrimental to the team and to the way. I mean, this is PSG style. We play out at the back. The last 3 managers that have been at Paris, they've played out the back. None of that Premier League hoofing it up the pitch. Like, we don't do that here. So, and they knew his weaknesses when they recruited him, and he knows what's expected of him, being that we play out of the back. And I don't think it's just in terms of how that affects us going forward. I don't think it really does, because essentially that comes down to the midfielders having control of the ball and being able to start the play with the Neymar and the Messi. But in terms of him being indecisiveness and being indecisive and panicking, essentially that's what he's doing in that moment. He's panicking. That just comes down to him. That's on between him and the goalkeeper coach got to work with. And obviously, if it continues to be a problem, then whatever that next step looks like, then that's something Galtier and recruitment have to look at. But I don't see it being a huge issue. That's just panicking, bro. Like, when you ain't really good with the ball at your feet, you won't kick it. You're literally going to try to wait for a space to open up. And by the time you do that, somebody's already right in your face and boom, mistake happens. So that's all Donnarumma. This isn't nothing. Those are things that they said like you can't coach, but you can coach that out of him. I think it's repetition and put him in those scenarios a lot in training. Like put him in those scenarios and help him get out of that. But you can't learn how to play with your left foot if you're right-footed or your right foot if you're left-footed. Like these are things that you just innate sensibility. But I don't think it's a huge issue yet. I think in terms of it having the question that you asked James earlier about Neymar and Messi coming deep, I think that's just the way this team is set up. The team is literally set up for that. You're not playing with three midfielders. We're playing with two pivot with Verratti and Vitinha. Their job is to destroy and get the ball to a Neymar and a Messi and attack, because we have a right winger or a right back, whatever Hakimi is. My boy don't want to get into the action. Like I don't understand what his doubts and hesitation is with his athleticism and his speed. Like he should be that outlet that Verratti or Vitinha can give the ball to, so it doesn't always have to go centrally through Neymar and Messi. And that's how PSG's dynamic. If you look at those first 5 games we played under Galtier, that's where most of our attacks were coming from. Hakimi and Mendes just gunning up the pitch. And when you have to occupy those spaces as a defender, you leave Neymar and Messi open in the middle. So it comes down to the way this team is built, man. That's just how we have to play. And for Donnarumma, bro, you just gotta for me, like I said, that's something he has to put in time to work on. Get the ball out of there. That's my default. Get the ball out of there.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think, one thing I want anyone listening, you guys as well, to keep an eye on. I think one thing, and it's funny that Danilo is the person that I think I'd love to look at the stats to find this out, but I think one thing PSG lacks, and one of the reasons Neymar and Messi do come back, is that our center backs, none of them have the ability to play progressive passes at all. If you actually watch the game, watch how many times, right, they pass left to right or pass backwards. I think there was a time, and I don't know what's happened, but there was a time where I was Marquinhos is one of the best passing center backs or ball playing center backs. He would once a game or twice a game try the long diagonal pass, or he would, find Mbappé or Neymar over the top, or play a line breaking pass past the midfield straight to the front line. And I think because we lack that aspect of our game, we could be so much more dangerous, right? You could be so much more dangerous if you had a center back who had the ability to play that pinpoint pass. And listen, even if we were to get Skriniar, I think someone had posted it. That's not part of his game, right? He's young, he's a good center back, but you're not going to get that dynamic from him. And if Neymar and Messi continuously have to come back because no one outside of Verratti really has the ability to do that, it's just a flaw in our game. It's not something that maybe we can address right away. Maybe it's not anything that we can address at all, right? But just pay attention to it. And I think that is something that if we had that aspect, or could add someone like Ruiz as well, he's a midfielder who, has the ability to do that, but maybe he's still finding his space or finding his way. Since he's joined, I haven't seen him play line breaking passes. He's the same thing. It's something that Fredis did, right? It's left to right or backwards. Verratti truly is the only one that is looking to play that line breaking pass to unlock the defense. And if we could get someone else in the midfield or center back to help progress the ball, I think it would really take our attack, to the next level and unlock so much more, and we'd be so much more of a dangerous threat. And I think you get that with the Man Cities, right? Look at Cancelo, look at their right backs. I mean, is it Cancelo or Cancelo who plays left wing back or right back for Man City, that plays these ridiculous passes, right? You get it with Trent. Yes, he has his deficiencies as a defender, but when you have the ability to play that pinpoint ball from unexpected angles or different areas of the pitch, it just changes the entire way that people have to defend you and the way that your offense functions. So something to keep an eye on. I think Donnarumma is not super detrimental, but it is an issue, and it just makes it more of, I think, a compounding issue when your defenders don't alleviate that pressure as well, right, to beat the press, because they can't play those balls either. So it is what it is. But 2 more match days to go. Le Classique coming up this weekend. PSG, is dealing with a few injuries. Mendes is still injured. Messi is questionable for this weekend. Mbappé, minor ankle injury. It looks like Kimpembe was back in training this week. Verratti, he'll be there, but he won't be in the next match day. And then I believe Sanchez was also in training this week as well. James, start with you, man. What are you looking to see this weekend? We're playing a team that is third in the table in the league, and that is currently second in the table in their Champions League group, tied, looking like they have the opportunity to advance to the next stage. So this isn't a bottom feeder team. It's our rival. It is like Classique. What are you expecting, or what are you looking to see the team produce this weekend?
Are we at home or away?
Well, that's a good question. Let me see.
Because that's going to change my answer.
So this weekend is going to be at the park.
Okay. All right. Okay. I feel like.
So wait. So for context for you, right? This weekend at the park, Le Classique, Messi questionable, no Ramos. So what we're probably going to see is Marquinhos, Danilo, and then Mukiele. I almost forgot about him. So we do have another option there. So he'll probably play 3 at the back, and then who knows what type of combination will play up front. But it is Le Classique, right? So
yeah, I mean, I always expect the intensity of Le Classique. I think that we need a solid win. I think there's a lot of noise around the club. There's a lot of politics going on. We need a solid win because winning seems to solve everything, even in the immediate, maybe not the long term. Plus, I think we really need to start breaking away in the table. I don't like us with all of these like draws that have been happening as of recent, and they've been because of like minor things that we could have fixed. I really want us to have a really solid performance, especially because we're going to be in the park. Fans are going to be extremely loud. I mean, there might be some fights, but yeah, I think we just need to show up, man. Marseille is coming off of a convincing win today against Sporting. I mean, Sporting had a red card, so make of it what you will. But they won, so they're feeling themselves a little bit, and you know how that's going to go. There's going to be some fights. There's going to be a few yellow cards. There might be an ejection. You know how it gets, but I do think that we need to show up for ourselves and have at least a convincing win against this team to start putting some of the win back in ourselves. Just looking at the body language of the team post the Benfica match, there wasn't that sign of energy. There wasn't that sign of like, we didn't do so bad, even with the draw. I am curious to see what happens with Messi. I think honestly, if he is not feeling like 100%, they're going to treat him with kid gloves. The last thing you want to do is have Messi miss any like substantial time off with the World Cup coming up. So if he's feeling the slightest inconvenience, like they're not going to play him, and rightfully so. So we'll see what happens. I'm not putting too much stock into this game. It is like Classique, but I think we go in there and handle business. I don't see why not.
Yeah, the official word on Messi right now is day to day, but he is getting better. It looks like, according to RMC Sport, the club does hope he'll play on Sunday, and a decision will be made as early as Saturday. So Saturday we should know. John, I'll put you on the spot, man. Win, lose, or draw on Sunday?
Ooh, I'm actually going with a draw, man. Like I was actually literally was just thinking about you asking that question, or me like, just mentioning that. Like I think it's gonna be a draw, just given our form right now in the Messi being questionable, Mendes is still out. Kimpembe is not he's back in training this week, but he's probably not gonna make that match. Just our form, the way we're playing, the off the field stuff, and obviously we'll get into that at the end, but like I don't want to diminish that how much that plays into the morale of the team. But it is the Classique, and everybody gonna be up for it. But I think it's worth mentioning this is one of the better Marseille teams that we faced, in the last couple of years in terms of just the strength of the team. And they might not be the strongest Marseille team, but in terms of like in form at the moment, like they're second in their group in the Champions League, which is good because we need more French teams to get out the group stage and just do better in Europe regardless. But they're doing well in the league. They've only lost one game, I believe, drawn 2. So like they're in form right now. They have some ballers like Nuno Tavares from Arsenal, the kid on loan. He came out the gate flying. They signed Alexis Sanchez. That was a gamble, but he's paying off for them. Guendouzi's a baller. The right back Jonathan Klaus. Like they have good players on there, and it's Marseille is never scared of us. Like that's one thing you can always just know that whenever it comes to the Classique, Marseille they don't care about none of that star power. They don't care about none of that fashion. None of that. They're gonna come at our necks. And in regards to rushing Messi back, this is not the game that you want to rush any of those boys back to because they're gonna be out there for blood. So you have to keep that in mind. But I think just based off of form for us, more so us than Marseille, it could be another draw.
Yeah, I was leaning draw as well. I want to say, since you said draw, I'm going to say win. I'm gonna try and be like optimistic, right, and say that like PSG and the players they understand this. I do wish that Ramos was playing in this game. I agree. I don't think Messi would even go out there if he's not 100% just because of the World Cup. Like we're literally so close. The last thing you'd want is for any of these players to miss the World Cup. I think Marseille isn't. They're not PSG. In terms of quality, like you said, but they're no pushovers, right? Like 10 games played, 7 wins versus our 8 wins. They only have 2 draws. They've only lost once, and we've scored 28. They've scored 20. Obviously, it's a decent gap, but that's what you expect with the gulf in talent. On the attacking side of the ball, we've allowed 5 goals. They've allowed 7, right? So it's not they're really not there that far off, and their form or recent form is better than ours. They've won 3 of the last 4. With one blip, it looks like they did lose a game in the league. I'm not sure to who. Oh, to AC Ajaccio, I think that's the team. So that is a team that's in the relegation fight. So that is a little blemish in the resume. But listen, like you said, right, they're always up for this game. Could be some red cards, definitely be some yellow cards. It seems like every time we play these guys, there's at least 1 or 2 reds the last couple of times. So what I'm praying for is a win. But more importantly, what I'm praying for is that everyone makes it out of this game healthy.
Exactly.
Right. And
no injuries.
I wouldn't want that for our season. But more importantly, I wouldn't want any of these players to miss the upcoming World Cup. And who knows, right? Maybe players are thinking that. But I'm looking at Marseille's lineup and thinking, like, how many of their players are going to the World Cup? Right, that they feel the need to lay off, but there definitely is bad blood there. But we'll see. So I'm gonna go win. I'm gonna go win, and hopefully these guys show up, man. Hopefully they do it for the fans, and hopefully the players understand the importance of this game and the importance of just trying to right the ship in terms of the draws and performances. Get a win in the Classique. Get a win against Maccabi Haifa, and then, like you said, James, right, winning cures all. So you get a big win in this game, you get a win and lock up the knockout stages. It probably quiets down some of the out or the external noise that we're hearing. So we'll see. PSG and Kylian, guys, the gift that keeps on giving. I think it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Get into it.
Let's just let's address the elephant in the room. I think the 3 of us have spoken about this. I was like, I don't even want to talk about this, but we wouldn't. I'm sure other fans are thinking about it. They want to hear about it. So, listen, only 143 days ago, Kylian signed a 2-year extension with the option for a 3rd. And I'm sure just as we thought, listen, things are calm. Let's get back into potting. Let's have a drama-free season. Literally yesterday, 2 hours before the game, we're bombarded with reports from multiple sources across Europe. Kylian feels betrayed by the club. The relationship is broken. There's no going back. He feels Nasser and the club lied to him. They sold him promises that they haven't met, and he wants out as early as January. Now, listen, I think we're all in agreement that two things can be true, right? If they are true, this is all speculative. Kylian can be unhappy. Will Kylian be sold in January? I find that to be highly unlikely, even if even if this relationship truly is broken for whatever reasons. I think some fans, which we spoke about, were thinking that this was just another Spanish media ploy. I think that and I'll give you guys a chance to address this, but I think we're all in agreement, I think, by saying that, enough sources and French sources have come out, enough, reputable journalists have come out and at least said that, Kylian is upset. I think one thing that has been made clear is Kylian has not asked to leave the club. He has not asked to, has gone to Campos or Nasser or anybody and said, hey, I want out, and handed in a formal request. He's just told people around him that he's unhappy and he wants to leave and he wants out, right? So I think some of the things that have been said is that he was promised he would be played in his preferred position, which that's where the hashtag pivot game came from. He doesn't like to be played as a solo striker. I think this has been brewing for a little bit, where even, as recently as hit the most recent international break, he talked with during the interview where he mentioned he enjoys playing more with France than he does with PSG at the current time, just because of the freedom he gets, right? He wants more of that free role, similar to what, Neymar and Messi have. He feels that, he doesn't want to play as a solo striker up front. He was told that a striker was going to be brought in. Yes, we brought in Ekitike, but, as we've seen, he's clearly not ready. He's still a very raw and a very, junior product. He's not ready to shine and take that full-time striker spot. And we weren't able to do that in terms of, bringing someone in. We targeted Samaka from Sassuolo, but that didn't, that fell through for whatever reason. Neymar remains at the club. It seems like as much as we try and push this, where there's smoke, there is fire, right? So these guys, they just don't get along like they used to, right? And maybe Mbappé did want him gone, and, that wasn't fulfilled. No center back was brought in, and we're not playing his preferred formation either, which is the 4-4-2 apparently. So, James, I'll start with you, man. Just what's your take on the rumors? What do you think about Mbappé in general? I guess there's so much to talk about here, so much speculation, what's true, what's not true, but I'm sure we all have feelings on it. So I'll start with you. Just what's your initial reaction to what you've heard in the past 24 hours?
I'm so tired, man. To be honest, so tired. Every season, it seems like we are fighting a war on two fronts. It is Champions League is probably the hardest trophy to lift in all of sports, just because of the format and structure and randomness of Champions League. That's already stressful enough. And then you have all of these political situations with players who are, world-class talent. And I think it comes to a point where the club just has to put its foot down and, take the reins of this situation. Now, I think obviously my phone was ringing right before the Benfica match, much like the both of you, where damn near every news outlet was reporting the same exact story. So that tells me, because I'm not an idiot, that Mbappe's camp obviously put that story out. And I'm even more sure of it because Kylian Mbappé has not come out to refute it or say anything at all. So there's truth there, and it's his camp that put the story out. That being said, this is not like the last time. This is not like the summer where Mbappe wanted to go to Real Madrid and the media, fans, and everybody in between was saying, PSG, just take the money. You're being stupid. Just this is not that. This is the first time that I've seen both media and business and fans alike all say, Mbappe, you're being ridiculous. And it's a welcome sight for a team that doesn't get much favoritism in the media or from other clubs. I think, you know, Jamie Carragher's statements, as well as Thierry Henry, their statements, they ring true. The club is giving you everything. Now, certainly, all concessions haven't been made, but it wasn't like they didn't try. I mean, we got on here and talked about how much of an overhaul the PSG roster had taken in one transfer window. Like we damn near got everything in one transfer window. It was insane. You haven't seen that before. Just a turnover of a squad like that in one window. That is a feat in and of itself. And it's also a show of good faith. But the club is not going to bend over backwards or break itself to appease one player because we didn't get everything on this Christmas list. It's like the child where if you give an inch, they take a mile. And this is turning into that situation. The unfortunate part for Kylian this time is that he doesn't have the support of the media that he once did. They're looking at him like a spoiled, petulant child. And if you're trying to make your case behind closed doors for PSG to sell you and move on, you don't have the media support like you did the first time you did this. Because everyone's asking the question, you have two of the greatest players to ever play the game and you're still crying.
So
Not only are they
just real quick, just like to play devil's advocate, and I agree with what you're saying, right? But how do you change? Because you're saying like the club's not going to bend over backwards, but isn't that what they've been doing, right? Like, didn't the club bend over backwards and beg this kid to stay? Like, in his eyes, he's never. I think it was Thierry Henry who said it's like he's acting like someone who's never heard no. He's never been told no since he got here from Monaco. He has been spoiled. He's been, given everything he wants. They made these promises. So he's looking at it like, bro, you asked me to stay. I could have gone to my dream club. I wanted to get back to my city, to my hometown club. So I stayed, but I was told X, Y, and Z was going to happen. That's why I signed the contract. And now you haven't. Sure. And now you haven't done it, right? So, and listen, I agree, right? And they always say this, like it's like the Harry Kane thing with the contract, like the gentleman's handshake, right? Of like the release clause, we'll let you go. Then Tottenham didn't let him go. You should never believe a gentleman's handshake. You should get things in writing. But I'm just playing devil's advocate in terms of the stance of like, oh, like why should the club bend over? It's like all he's known his entire career since he's been at PSG is them bending over and giving him whatever he wants.
Of course, but even in that sentiment, when I say bending over, that means they're not going to overpay for Skriniar, right? Like they could have, and they could have got the player, but that doesn't make business sense to the club. So even in that, we're seeing a bit of a difference, right? They tried for Lewandowski, didn't happen, but they still put together a comprehensive club that is winning games, right? It'd be a different story if we were, crashing in the league and we're at the bottom of the table in our group in the Champions League. Then you'd have a compelling case, but they're winning games, and this is a process that needs to take place. We don't know what's going to happen in January, right? There were potential talks of PSG trying to ramp up conversations with Inter Milan in January. Maybe that'll have some semblance of becoming true. Maybe they'll wait till the summer when he's on the free. But we'll see. But it's happening, and we're not losing. And for once, you have a Neymar that is like in exceptional form and scoring, and you have Messi like leading assists for the club. So things are working. Now, what I will say is I understand not wanting to play the role and the position that Mbappe is forced to play in. Like I get that, and how that can throw your game off, especially in a World Cup year where you're playing a certain way for for your country, but you're playing a different way for your club, and how difficult that can be to kind of like switch, and that's not your natural position. Like that is fair. But like all of this other stuff where it's like, you promised me this, and dude, they've done a lot already. And yeah, they haven't said no in the past, but I do feel like this go round, it's not going to be as simple as he thinks, especially with other clubs kind of saying like, well, we see what's going on with PSG, and maybe we don't want that headache. So like, I mean, I take that at face value because it's Kylian Mbappe, but the fact that the media has this position where they didn't have this position in the past, it's very telling.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I have a lot to say about this. I'm gonna let John go, but just like you said, right? I think there are worse things, right? Like imagine being so selfish or self-centered that you're in a team that you're playing with Neymar and Messi, who are two of the most creative players in the world, who are feeding you. It's not like you're playing, a solo nine where you're having or being asked to play hold up play, right, and receive the ball at the feet and then wait for individuals to, play into the box. You're getting service every time. Anytime you ask for the ball, you're getting service. You're getting assists that are just like absolutely insane, but being so self-centered that because you're not playing where you want to play, or the formation isn't the formation that you handpicked, or we're not mirroring the same formation as your national team, that now you just want to burn it all down, right? Because you don't want to share or play in the sandbox with the other people, right? And it's like you said, it's not like Kylian is playing with people that are so below him. You literally have to look across the dressing room and look at a Messi who has in the last year and a half adapted his game to fit PSG. You're looking at a Neymar who at times had to adapt his game. So you're looking at arguably two of the other top 5 players in the world and saying, I don't care about you guys. It's only what I want, and I'm not getting what I want, so I'm just going to leave. It just looks bad, right? The optics are terrible. I agree. The media is not on his side. Craig Burley, who, shits on PSG all the time, was just like, I feel bad for PSG. I feel bad for the individuals that did all the work to get him to stay. I feel bad for the fans that have to continuously deal with the drama. And he's like, his head has just become too big. Like I said, even Henry was just like, there was times when I was at Barcelona that I played positions with Messi that I didn't want to play, but I did it for the good of the team. You voice your opinions, but if the team is winning games and the team is playing well, you continue to make sacrifices for the team, right? So, John, what is your take? Man, I know originally when the report first came out, you were just like, it's just another Champions League day. This is, Spanish media just drawing attention and trying to unstabilize us. Do you still feel like this is just something to unstabilize us, or do you now see that this is maybe more real than you think? And what is just your take on the whole situation, with Kylian and the rumors?
Yeah, I still believe that because timing. It's just timing for me. Like, yeah, the reports can be whatever they are, but the timing of it happens every year. And to follow up on that, even the media part report that came out today that PSG paid a whole bunch of bots or an army of whatever to pretty much put out propaganda against PSG players and the staff members, which just doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. So from that perspective,
that was me. Right. I put out that propaganda.
So it just doesn't make sense. It's just the dudes on Twitter who have like a professional football as their Abby, as their icon. That's who's putting out that propaganda.
But to be clear, you don't believe these reports. You don't believe that Kylian, like that's what I meant.
No.
Do you believe that he wants to leave and that he's unhappy?
Yeah, no. Two things can be true, right? Yeah, like I like I said, two things can be true. He does feel that way, but I feel like either this information was already known and the timing of it. That's my issue. Kylian Mbappé has known he's wanting to leave PSG, whether it's in January, in July, or whenever, 2024, he's going to leave PSG. And I think the timing of the report is to destabilize PSG because the source of that report was from Marca, and RMC in France, Orca in Spain. This happens literally every year. So from that perspective, I still believe that it's a whole lot of nothing in terms of all the hoopla around it. But at the core, I believe Kylian Mbappé got Messi and Neymar effed up. He thought they was going to be scrubs this year. Let's get into it. He thought they were going to be scrubs this year. And
yes,
so he had the leverage. He had the leverage when he was negotiating the contract because Messi looked like trash. Neymar wasn't looking like nothing. And he was the big dog last year. Now this year has come and it's like, oh, it's not as sweet as I thought it was. He didn't get the coach he wanted. So, like, don't tell me after the fact that now you feel some type of way. You knew y'all couldn't get Zidane. You knew Neymar was staying. You knew Messi was staying. What's the issue now? So for me, like the things that I try to think about, is it really Kylian or is it his pops and his moms and the clan? Because he's still young, and I don't know how much of the power he has in those decisions. Like obviously, your mom's gonna ask you like, "Hey, what do you want?" And then I'll go tell the agent or whoever, "This is what my son wants," but I'm gonna tell it my way to configure it in a way that's likable for the parents or whoever is running the Mbappe clan, which is like is making it sound like it's so rough and tough. but yeah, so I think that there is something there, but it just doesn't make sense for me for him as someone who his image has been spotless. Like it's been good for him. And like, does Kylian really want to put himself out there as a villain? Like Neymar wore that when they was calling him the villain. Like Neymar, he got that demeanor and that characteristic. Like he can take that on and play that villain role. Mbappe's not built like that. Mbappe's like, no, that's not him. That's not in his aura. That's not you, bro. Like, so for me, it seems disingenuous from that perspective. From a footballing standpoint, like y'all said, bro, you're playing with two of the greats. What is the issue? Like you play with two of the best ever, and if you want to play the position that Neymar and Messi, Mbappe can take the ball from the midfield and dance and dribble through players. He can do that from the wing and use that space. But in space where it's clogged up, he's not built like that. So number one, just like from a tactical perspective, it doesn't make sense to play Mbappe as a 10 because you're not using his full potential as a coach. And then number two, if the reports are saying that he wants to go to Madrid, where are you going to play? As a 9? Benzema's there, and if Benzema leaves, you're not going to play on the wing because Vinicius is there. They're not about to get rid of Vinicius for you.
Vinicius.
That's not happening. That's not happening. And so it just all seems weird to me. Like I was listening to the ESPN FC report today with Jules, and I think Jules he's a good reporter, but like he said something to I believe to Craig or Frank. He said, no, Kylian didn't say to no, they were talking about Campos saying that Kylian never came up to me and told me that. He said that he just wants to leave. Like, okay, if you're Campos, if I'm the sporting director, if I hear that, yeah, that will be my answer. Like, he didn't say that to me because if any transfer is going to happen, it's going to come through me. It's going to come through the club. So, I didn't understand that rebuttal because you're saying the same thing. So, for me, it comes down to he's not leaving in January because nobody's paying that ticket. They're saying Chelsea's going to do it, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, right.
I don't see that happening, and nobody else can afford him. In Madrid, yeah, that's not happening in January. So from that perspective, I would tell PSG fans to be calm. Like he's not going anywhere, until potentially at the end of the season. Now, where that can disturb the locker room, that's where I have the issue. And again, I pointed out to the Benfica match yesterday. Like like James, you said it. Like he came out that tunnel, like body language wasn't good. Like these are the things that we can see. You can see like him and Neymar are forcing it. Like it's not, the moves ain't going how they used to anymore. So like that's where the destabilization happens from the media, from Kylian Mbappé himself, and let's not forget PSG needs to be held with responsibility as well because Y'all started with giving Neymar these luxury contracts and all this power. Where do you think Kylian got this attitude from? Where do you think he saw that he can even try to talk to y'all like that from? He saw y'all do it with Neymar. So PSG's also should hold responsibility because y'all gave him all this leverage, and this is what comes with it. So it's unfortunate. I'm not gonna feel sorry for PSG as a club because this is the bed that you made. This is it. It's spilling out in the streets. Our business is all in the streets. Everybody know our problems. It's ugly, bro. I'm tired of talking
Nasty
about this.
business.
It's ugly, bro.
Yeah, it is. It is nasty. I think I agree. I think both things can be true. I don't think Mbappe is going anywhere in January. I do think that Mbappe and his people leaked this. I do think that this was their doing. I think the timing, like strategic. I do think, you mentioned Mbappe isn't this person, but when I look back at it, like the last 2 years, I feel like Mbappe has constantly been in the news or media for things non-related to football, right? Like before it was the uncertainty and stuff that he was, associating or putting out there about Madrid, or then it was this summer about him not wanting Neymar around, and that was the story of the summer. Not that I disagree with this, but this past summer as well, or this past year actually, it's been about him refusing to go to photo shoots for sponsors and him, not wanting to give his image rightfully with the France team. And it just feels like a lot of times recently, Mbappe has begun to be in the media more for what's going on off the pitch than what's going on the pitch. And then, listen, I don't know how true this is, right, or how much this plays into it. It may be nothing, but it's like Messi and Neymar are hooping, and Mbappe's also having a good season. So I don't know why individuals wouldn't be talking about him as well. But then you have the gentleman at Man City who is eating up all the headlines, right? Does Mbappe have?
Ty? What are you talking about?
Doug,
They gotta say his name.
What are you talking about?
Bro, I'm talking about Erling, dog. Erling.
Come on, man.
Listen, the Terminator, dog. Ivan Drago. He's out there just eating up goals, and I think when you have someone that's as competitive as Mbappe is that playing into it, right? Is him not having the headlines? Yeah, I think this is something even Ed said, right? Like, and I think we had brushed it off. Shout out to Ed. Is when there was talk about Madrid could get Haaland and get Mbappe, and then there was talks about him not wanting Neymar around. Ed was like, well, if he wants to be the big man, is he going to be able to share the spotlight with Haaland? Shit, nope. Maybe Ed was more right than I thought, because I was like, oh no, he could do it. Don't worry about it. But maybe Ed was right? Like maybe this is an issue. So there's a lot.
Wait, to your point, Ty. To your point, not even just the Haaland thing. You got to think Mbappe is built for, like, in his brain. He's on GOAT level. He's going for the Ballon d'Ors. He's going for those. So Neymar is the ops too. Neymar is competition for him.
Listen, I told you guys yesterday.
And the numbers are looking better for Neymar.
I'm gonna go on record as saying this.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go on record as saying this. I've said it before. I'm a Neymar and an Mbappe fan. Love them both. When they're both in form, at the top of their game, playing at the peak fitness, peak form, Mbappe cannot lace Neymar's boots.
That is a spicy ass take.
Sheesh.
Listen.
All right.
Listen, I'll say this.
Standing on that.
Hey, I told you guys yesterday, right? Like Neymar is he's playing the game and getting his instructions from a different textbook. He's reading a completely different book than Mbappe is reading. Now listen, John said it yesterday, right? Like, is Mbappe a more clinical finisher? Yes, he is. 100%, right? Outside of just finishing, Neymar's game, playmaking, passing, vision, dribbling, technical ability, flair, whatever you want, it is at a different level. Neymar's 31? Neymar's not as fast as he used to be, and on his day is still top 3, top 4 best players in the world. I hate this term, right? Like pace and power, but Mbappe is in his 20s. Like, if Mbappe didn't have his speed, what is he?
That's an even spicier take. Nah, man, hold on.
Listen, I'm just
Hold
asking
on.
you, bro. I'm just
All
asking.
right, no.
Let's
Okay,
see.
so
Now,
yes, and
good point.
right. He
No, but answer me. If he, as he gets
listen.
older,
I'm going to tell you.
what is
My biggest criticism of Kylian Mbappe has always been that he is like pace and power first. And I remember early in his PSG career, he would just run and like run himself into a corner. So much so that like defenders knew he's going to run down the pitch. Let's just box him into a corner because he can't make the pass. He has gotten a lot better with his passing, but you have a phenomenon in Neymar on the pitch to compare him to. So his passing ability looks mortal in comparison to Neymar. Like everybody, well, I mean, Messi is the like assist leader for PSG too, so that's a whole nother story. But I'm just saying, like, Mbappe is a better passer than he was, but he still has two aliens on the pitch as well, and I'm sure that bothers him.
And Mbappe's not the only one, right? Like, I'm not talking about like Mbappe specifically. I'm really talking about like this new generation of footballers, right? Like they're not in Neymar's class on his day, and that's Haaland included, right? Like Haaland is, listen, he gets goals. Are they tap-ins? Yes, it's because the system he plays in. He's a great goal scorer. The dude just has been eating up goals since he was a teenager, but his game just isn't in the class of the Neymars and the Messis, right? And my point is this, right? Is Mbappe's a great player. He's a generational talent. Again, I love him. I just don't think on his day that he's on the same planet as Neymar. I'm just gonna be honest with you, right? On his day,
you got to come. You're like we're comparing different points in their lives. At this point of Neymar's career, we were looking at him like, yo, he's an alien too. He's still an alien, obviously, but like at 21, 22, 23, Neymar was balling just like Mbappe is too. So it's like, you know, I agree with you in terms of just like, yeah, I agree with you. I'm not even going to repeat what you're saying.
No, wait, hold on. Let me clarify. Let me clarify.
Bro,
I said
they were saying Neymar was on the throne.
I said today. I'm not even talking about when Neymar was in his prime. Today, Neymar at 31 in his peak
still
form.
Saying now. He's saying today. That's why I said it was spicy.
Today, if
he's saying right now
in 2022, if they are both like Neymar is not injured, he's 100% fit, he's got his boots on that day, bro, he's playing out of a different textbook, and we've seen it, right? And that's bothering Mbappe.
Let's take a look at last year, and I agree with the point that you're making. Yes, like the overall point that you're making is correct, and it's what I'm saying. He's watching his competitor put up better numbers than him. He's watching somebody who's 10, 15 years older than him put up better numbers than him. And then you look at the ratio in which Mbappe passes to Neymar compared to how Neymar and Messi pass to each other. Like there's a disconnect there as well. But again, if we look at last season, Mbappe was the one who was showing out. Neymar wasn't. This year, they're all showing out. And they're all in peak fitness. So
we're seeing
it's kind of hard to make that case because when they were both in peak fitness last season, Mbappe was still doing his thing. Neymar wasn't. This season, Mbappe is still doing his thing. Neymar is too, but Mbappe
and Neymar wasn't in peak fitness last year though. He had a belly. He was eating honey buns. You've seen that, right? Like,
yeah.
Come on, bro. He wasn't. He wasn't.
Nah, we called it out. We said he was fat. We said he was a little big.
Listen, it's World Cup year. Like Neymar, if we're being honest, like he really hasn't been interested in soccer the last 2 seasons, bro. He's been doing whatever. Like,
he's been gambling.
That's nuts to say.
Yeah, he's been playing online.
He's been gambling with Drake.
Yeah, bro. He's playing with Ninja, playing Fortnite. He's doing whatever. But like the World Cup came around, and he's like, oh shit, like that's like his utmost priority. So he's going to be, you know, at his peak level, and we've seen it, right? Like the year that Mbappe was hurt, went to the final. Yes, the whole point about being clinical, but look back at those games, bro. But against RB Leipzig, against Atalanta, against Bayern Munich, bro, Neymar was the best player on the pitch. Outside of being able to finish, he was the best player on the pitch because he was invested. When he's invested, he is playing on another planet. And Messi is the only person when he's on form, you know, and like that can be that guy, but Neymar is that dude, bro. He is that guy, right?
And I agree.
And we shitted on him, right, for a lot of things, but like at this moment in time, he's playing his part, right? He's not causing drama.
I do think Ney is getting his flowers right now, even from the media. Like he's getting, but it also stems from the hate that Kylian is getting too. So it's just like they're interchanging the love and the hate from the media. So
I think Kylian is definitely, listen, I'm a big Kylian fan, but after the situation, I'm definitely like, it's becoming harder. I'll always root for him because he wears the PSG crest and he's on my team. And listen, I want my team to do well. So in order for my team to do well, I need him to do well. I just feel like and I could be in the minority, but I don't think I am. I think the last 12 months, it's become a little bit harder to root for Kylian, right? It's become a little bit harder. Like I've stood by him. I've, defended him in situations, but like the more this happens, and now this one where like you sat on a podium in front of all the fans and held up a shirt and talked about how you were in love with the project and this is your city, this is your team, and your business isn't done here. For then literally
that's Neymar's team.
Yeah,
that's Neymar's team, man.
Literally for 5 months later, for you to be in the media talking about 143 days later that things aren't going your way. So basically all I'm reading is all that talk about this is your city, this is your team, this is the project that you want to be a part of was all bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, I think honestly though, I think he did believe that when he re-signed, and then he went to training camp and saw that Neymar is still him.
Neymar was
right?
in shape, yeah.
Like that was the unexpected thing though. Right?
Neymar been in the gym. He saw Neymar was eating broccoli and basmati rice.
That's the thing. That was the unexpected twist in the tail. Like, he's back. But I think, yes, Kai, you are correct. It is going to be, man, I can't wait for this World Cup because France is going to have to see one of these teams. They're going to have to see Brazil or they're going to have to see Argentina. They're going to have to see one of these teams. And whoever comes out of that, I can't wait to see what that locker room looks like post-World Cup. Because
after
one
Neymar
of those three teams
nutmegs Mbappé in the world stage.
Oh my God!
Don't do it.
Oh, are you serious?
The internet.
I can't wait.
No,
I can't wait.
We'll see, man. But listen, it's just been tough. I think it's just a bad look overall. So I'll ask this question, and this is a good question because I saw someone ask Jules this question on a podcast. I'll ask the question and then I'll ask, I guess if you think it's a good idea. So question for both of you, start with James. Outside of January, after the summer transfer window in this upcoming summer, when next season starts, is Mbappé still a part of PSG? Not in January after the winter window, but after the summer season's over, we're getting ready to have the first match next season. Is Mbappé still here?
There's too many variables. There's just too many variables.
Just give me. It's not a concrete answer. Just give me what your gut tells you. Where we are able to change this answer at a later date with new information. But just what does your gut tell you right now with what you know?
Yes, he will.
Okay, John.
Yes.
No. No. I don't think he's going to be here because I didn't think he was going to be here last window. I was actually surprised that he re-signed with us last window. So, and from what we can tell with these reports coming out, with the reports that came out last summer, he feels exactly the same way. I think the PSG thing, that's the part I'm not understanding. Like, so why did you resign? Like, why did you if you never wanted to be here? It just logistically just does not make sense. But no, I don't think. And then this right here, like, this is a cesspool full of bullshit. Like, what's going on right now, it's not good for nobody.
Nasty.
So, like, to come out of this and to see any positivity, like, to just projecting, looking forward, I don't see it. Just like from this alone, I feel like this is the one that you've gone too far. Like Mbappe or your clan, whoever, y'all have gone too far. And Jules mentioned this when he was on TV earlier. Like, they're gonna have that conversation, like him and his team with
this weekend or this week,
with Nasser and Galtier. They're gonna have to have that conversation, and I'm interested to see what comes out of that. But just based off of his like disposition over the last couple of like months, like yeah, nah, I don't think he's gonna be here.
Yeah, I think
and I'm actually okay with that.
Yeah, I think I am. So, John, do you think it's in the and Jules? I think someone's asked Jules this question too, and it's a great question. Is like, do you think it's in the best interest of PSG this summer if someone does come to the table with somewhere between 150 or 200 to just cash in, take the money, and just let him go and wipe your hands?
Yeah, I do believe so. Me personally, Jules sounded really sure with that price point. I think it's worth more than that, maybe around 200, 250 maybe. But yeah, take the money because you don't need to go through this again. Like we don't need to go through this again.
Yeah, as it currently stands right now, listen, again, generational talent. Again, this is not saying we think this is going to happen. This is not saying that we expect this to happen or we want it to happen. This is just what we potentially think. Just with the drama, like, and just wanting to have a football team that's like, watch a season, cohesiveness, not have to, go to ESPN or open an article and read stuff. If someone told me, and I said this before, like I said, I would have taken the 180 last summer. I'm on record of saying
you did,
that, right? I said I would have taken it. If someone does come, the difference is now that PSG has the leverage. Jules did say that PSG won't sell in January, but they potentially would be open to a sale at the right price in the summer. If someone was to come, if someone was to give us 250 in the summer, I think I'd take that and run. I think I'd wipe my hands and say, you know what, with 250, potentially maybe we convinced Messi to stay one more year. You still have Neymar playing. You have Verratti. Verratti is potentially going to get locked up. You can do a lot with 250 mil and go and get.
Should be available.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's so many players available. I can't think of exactly which ones, but you could really do a lot and set yourself up for the future, and just basically say, listen, Messi has one more year. Neymar is the only person that's really locked up on major money for the next couple of years. If you then lose Messi, yeah, it's not ideal that a 32-year-old Neymar is your best player and he's locked up, but the books are really clear that you can really maneuver and truly build something for the future. So the way it sounds, again, this can all change. I'm not going to say, I think he is going to leave because, listen, we just went through this. We were all over the place every other week. We had different thoughts. So good to just, get our take. But as it currently stands right now, if someone was to offer me 250, shit, if someone offered me 300, I'll drive him to the airport, bro. You know what I mean? Like, don't want to see him go, but
it no longer matters. It no longer matters whether he delivers in the Champions League or what. Like that was a talking point for a lot of people. It's like, hey, get us the Champions League win, and we'll like whether it's even if he doesn't deliver. I feel like for PSG that's more so of an easy decision. It's like, yeah, let's just wash our hands with it.
Listen, especially if we were to win the Champions League, I would even more so say.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It no longer matters. Like that's yeah.
I'm good. So awesome, man. Well, that's it, man. We got a La Classique this weekend. We got Maccabi Haifa next week. Hopefully some of this stuff calms down so we can, say some of it is kind of in the rearview mirror. But knowing PSG, it probably won't. This probably will just be lingering for the rest of the season. There will probably be more reports that we'll find out about something that happened. I'm not sure what's going on with Ney and Mbappé, man. Maybe they just need to put the boxing gloves on and just run a 30-second fair one, bro. Just hash it out. Just get it over with like they did in high school. Just put the boxing gloves on.
I don't think Mbappé cut like that.
No,
like that.
I don't know. So, but
I don't think he cut like that, man.
Closing it out, man. Good to link with you guys again. Always a pleasure. And until next time, man, we'll catch you guys. Stay tuned and make sure to follow us on Twitter. Make sure to follow PSG Talk. You can follow me at 24th and Park to hear me rant or complain about PSG. John, go ahead, let them know where they can follow you, man.
Yeah, I am back on Twitter. They didn't give me back my old account. I had to create another one, but it's all good. It's at John Olangi, JONOLANGI. But yeah, we back on Twitter. Just not engaging with the BS. But yeah, man, hit me up on there.
James, where can the people follow you, man?
Man, you can follow me at its_JCJ on Twitter, and I'm there for all the BS. So feel free to hit me up and let me know your thoughts on Mbappe, PSG, Neymar, and everything in between. Glad to be back.
For sure. Yeah, make sure again to follow PSG Talk. Ed and the team also host live sessions after games where they're utilizing spaces on Twitter to, get fans involved and get people engaged with the platform. So love to hear from you guys. Stay in touch and stay tuned.